Hi there, I'm Scott Brown, the developer for the game Journey for the Crown, and today we're going to be reviewing some of the negative comments that I see in all of my socials. Now, I got the idea from my wife, who suggested I just make a video and go over all the different negative comments, and maybe I can explain maybe where it went wrong, or, just blow off some steam. So without further ado, let's go and check them all out.
Journey of the Crown, an indie game, and you can feel that straight away from the graphics that were kinda decent in the year of 2001. I'm a bit afraid that this can be that classic case of a coder who one day decided that he's a designer, writer, and a penis doctor as well. Time will tell, although this one looks not as bad as hundreds of other similar indie games I had to shuffle through while making this list. So that's why it's here. It may be a good game after all. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing for more videos like that, and now have a nice day and I'll see you next time, bye!
Now, fairly negative comment about my graphics, and I totally get my graphics aren't the best. However, I did spend some time and improve the overall graphics. I did spend some time on improving shaders and just adding more detail to the game. And, it was nice that he said it looked better than most of the other games. So, I take bonuses where I can. I did appreciate that. I do read a lot of the comments. Here's one. Journey for the Crown. Thanks a lot for wasting 15 seconds of my life. It's Journey for the Crown. Not sure how you can make that up to me, besides continuing to make great content. Yeah, so this guy even noticed it too. I can't tell you how frustrating it is for that simple little mistake. I seem to be sharing content with a beauty pageant over in India or something like that called Journey to the Crown. My God, when you search my name, the word "of" in any sort of Google algorithm is just one of those discounted things that never really is part of the search. So it's a frustrating battle, but I've actually had some interesting occurrences where someone tagged me in one of their Facebook posts, and it was some hot chick over in one of these beauty pageants, and she got some algorithm boosts from it, but not exactly the sectors I needed. Anyways, moving on, the guy did make a new video this year. Just threw it out the other day, and let's go have a look at it.
Journey for the Crown. Well, this may not be the prettiest specimen on this list. Honestly, to use words pretty and Journey of the Crown in one sentence should be punishable by law. So I won't do this anymore, I strictly follow the laws I invent. Anyway, besides that, the game really plays all the strings of nostalgia most of us have. But I have to stress out that nostalgia in general is bad for you. It is related to great memories of the past, but honestly, nothing can bring the actual feeling back. So let's take a look at the game from a different angle. Does it look good enough to catch your attention? Honestly, no. It looks like a game released 15 years ago, but the story and gameplay may be fantastic. As you progress the story, the decisions you make will affect the outcome, and the story is shaped by your reputation, morality, leadership, and many other things. That sounds really nice. So this game may not be a gem, but it may be at least a nice polished rock, or just rock, which is still good. I like rocks. And you can already try the demo on Steam if you want.
Now, unfortunately, he's mixed new and old content together. The graphics have improved since the old content footage that he's showing, so I'm happy where the game is right now. I think it looks really good. However, it's never really going to hit this guy's expectations, nor a lot of other gamers out there. There are people that really strive on the new graphics out there, and that's the kind of games they play. I think they lack the gamer mentality out there that, like, there's a lot of really fun games that look like shit. And, if you can't understand that, this game's not for you, that's fine. There's tons of other areas out there to make money in gaming. There's pixel art, there's, low poly, there's tons of different areas that have crap graphics. So, I think it's quite naive to say that, to focus heavily on graphics as your determination of a good game. I think it's very naive to say that. Another thing about being naive is his statement about nostalgia. I don't think he's right at all. Nostalgia may make you sad and that sort of stuff when you revisit really old games and you don't get the same experience. However, nostalgia is a big theme park for us indie developers. We base our new games off of nostalgic reasons and, try to improve things. Maybe we do a little bit, better graphics for like particle effects, more flashy stuff. There's so many angles that nostalgia play on, and people are very, very impressed by a lot of indie games out there that base it off of that. So I think he's incredibly wrong. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. He probably just went and revisited an old game and it didn't have the same feelings. So biased opinions, banging heads here. I think I'm right though. Now, I went and read some of the comments just to see, if there's any good things being said about my game. Unfortunately, there wasn't, but I did find this one really negative one that says, ugh, game's coming out late 2023, 24, looking like 2002 and worse than in the 90s. How the hell did they achieve this? Well, let's go read some of his further comments. Cold Beer comes in here and asks the guy some questions, which then he narrows it down to 2 games looking like shit. I'm assuming one of them is mine just because the graphics are clearly not as good as some of these other games. Whatever. Point aside, there's one comment that he made that really struck me. He says, I know lots of indie game titles. Don't take it personal. But I use Unreal, and I also know what Unity's perfectly capable of. And you can't make a game look that bad, even on purpose. So I wonder what the hell some of this developer are using. I'm assuming he's actually just talking about me now. Sorry for the broken English. I couldn't quite understand what he was trying to say. But it's interesting because Unreal and Unity have this giant pissing match all the time. People make YouTube content all the time about it. It's kind of annoying. As a Unity developer, I've never had this. I don't know why everyone from Unreal hates us, but we don't share the same feelings towards them. They're just like this other option for us if we wanted to use it. But because Unity's been around longer and it's got a really strong community, I think it's kind of like this mob mentality from Unreal. And this guy's basically just one of those. A jealous kid who probably doesn't like that I'm on this list to begin with, and he's probably achieved nothing. He's just this wannabe developer out there. Now, in the end, I see quite a bit of these negative comments. Unfortunately, they do come from Unreal users quite often. It does kind of suck. I think it's just jealousy. I think there's a lot of people who are also in the developer community that are not very good at making games. It is the new shiny developer tool out there that a lot of people are picking up. Unreal is, it's very easy to pick up, especially with their Blueprints program. It's visual scripting. Unity does have its own version as well, but it does invite a lot of wannabe developers out there, and they're so critical. They think it's so easy, but until they really get their feet wet, it's incredibly difficult, time-consuming, and the failure rate for this stuff is so high. It's just mind-boggling and makes them angry, and then they kind of spread their hate online. That's my take on it. I think this guy probably really doesn't make games. He's a bit of a poser, and he's just kind of sharing his negativity in that form on comments. Now, a few years back on this website called RPG Codex, someone posted introducing my game. I actually think it's a bot that does it. I'm not too sure. But anyways, let's just go look at some of the comments here. The first one reads, Neverwinter Nights 1 looked better than this. Now, that one really stung because when I went and Googled Neverwinter Nights, because I couldn't remember what it looked like, it does look really old, and I think my game looks better than that. But it just struck me that, their initial appearance of my game looks like, something so dated. Now, this was posted back in 2021. I did invest, as I said earlier, more time into improving the graphics. But I am at a standstill with this sort of opinion. I can't make this guy happy. He wants a particular look in the game, and I don't have the resources or time to do it. I do think that it sent me down a better path of improving some of my graphics. I know I can improve a few more things. Lots of detail isn't exactly a hard thing to add into the game, just like more props, more stuff like that. There is time involved, but it's something I totally can do within my power. However, one of the biggest difficulties for me is achieving those like PBR graphics, which you would see in games like Pillars of Eternity or some of these newer games like Baldur's Gate 3. Like I just won't be able to get there. So I do have to come to terms with that. This one did sting a lot when I read it, but it is what it is. Now the next one says, into the trash it goes, and you can see that there's a little picture here with Unity highlighted. Like I said earlier, there's just some people who hate Unity. Why would you hate a game based on the engine it was built? This kind of comment just screams noob to me or some wannabe. I don't really know this guy. From the feeling I get with this website, I think they're older guys like myself. Like I'm not a young chap anymore, but I think they might even be older than me. Very harsh harsh computer gamers. They're pretty damn critical. But I mean, like, I don't give a shit what this guy says. No one does. If a game's good and it's made out of Unity, do you really give a shit? To me, it sounds like an angry Unreal developer. That's my first take on it. Now, here's another comment, one from the same site. He says, I can't wait for this Avatar pack to come out. Now, that I thought that was kind of funny, and it also made me bleed out for a while. But it is true. Like, those do look bad. They were just kind of thrown in there. At the time, I was just like fiddling around with Photoshop. I was really good at it back then, but I mean, that's what I came up with within like spending a half hour on a face, you know? They didn't look all that bad back in 2016 when this stuff was being built. Like, that's how old that thing is. Now, I do have better portraits down in the bottom, and I'm using AI to kind of speed that up. And I just, I go through them and I fix them up in Photoshop. But I use a lot of tools now. Things have gotten to be easier for me to do this stuff. I have a lot of portraits to do in my game, and I'm not going to paint them all by hand. It's just too long. So I do kind of half and half now. So I think they look better now. At least I got something to say to this guy. Hey, that Avatar pack, yeah, there's a newer one. I don't think you're going to buy it. Who the hell would buy an Avatar pack anyways? I think that's really weird. But anyways, comment aside, I can at least look back at this one and laugh too. Now, one of the next comments here says, Joe Pera designs games. Now, I didn't know who this guy was, but he kind of does sound a little bit like me. He talks really slow, and sometimes I do that. I do it quite often. I'm trying not to do it right now, but my voice seems to be slowing down so slow. I can't stop it. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I just talk slow when I do these videos. It's just how I do it. You know, when I'm doing my Twitch streams, I don't think I talk slow, but I don't fucking know. Anyways, I thought it was a pretty funny comment. At least it wasn't something about my game. It was just about me personally. I can take personal attacks all the time. Anyways, it was kind of funny. I laughed at this one, and I actually now watch Joe Pera's stuff, so it was kind of funny. Now, this guy made a comment earlier, and this is one of his newer comments. He actually went and played the demo, so let's just read what he has to say. He says he ran the demo for 10 minutes. It plays just as Prosperian as it looks. When changing hairstyles in the character creation, the old hair visibly fell off. Now, he was right. One of the female characters, the hair just fell off. I went and fixed it. His next comment about it is the UI is atrocious. Now, the character creation is not finished. It's got a lot of work on it. I did update the UI. It looks better now, but I still think it needs more to it. There are some areas that I just haven't spent enough time in there, but I think it's going to get changed. I think I'm going to probably do a big overhaul at some point, but right now my main focus is the main content in the game, and then I'll start to backpedal some of that stuff. So I'm hoping that at least I can make this guy happy at some point. His next part is interactable objects only display interaction icons when a character is near them. So you have to click to move near them and then click on them again. That's true. In order to talk to somebody, you need to see the icon above their head, and it is basically a tether point between distance. If you're not within that distance, you don't see it. So you have to walk closer to see it. I don't know any other way of doing that. I don't know. Maybe he has some ideas. I'm not too sure, but I'm not too worried about that. I think that's expected in most games. His next thing, he says items can only be picked up from the ground in highlight mode. That's the way I designed it. I don't think people want to see items all over the place in front of them. That's how Diablo does it. I think that's a shining example of what it should be. So, you know, maybe there's a suggestion he might have. I'm not too worried about that piece. Then he says left clicking on any uninteractive spot makes currently selected characters deselect. Yeah, that was super annoying. Don't even have much to say about it. I fixed it. It was driving me nuts too. Next thing he says, he just added to that, very fun in battle. I totally agree. It was not fun. The next thing he says, it doesn't seem to be any collision detection whatsoever, and several characters may occupy the same spot. I don't know how that happened for him. There is collision detection. Maybe he just saw an instance of it, because he only played for 10 minutes. To be honest with you, 10 minutes wouldn't get me very far into the game to experience what's really happening. So I think maybe he just overlooked that, but there definitely is collision detection. In fact, I've been thinking about getting rid of it, because there are instances where the pathing does enough collision detection on its own that the colliders that are attached to the characters, I don't even think are needed. and sometimes they end up walking on top of each other. I don't know. It's been something I've been looking at, but yeah, I don't know what he saw. Now here's another comment that's quoting the original post. It says in the original post, using multiple characters without the need to pause in combat. And then he just responds saying this is going to totally work. It does totally work. He just doesn't understand how it's actually going to work. It uses a bit of automation in conjunction with the action-based combat. Without those tools, yeah, it would totally not work, and he's in his right to feel that way. He just doesn't understand that this game isn't the same as some of the other popular titles that they're probably used to. Now here's a comment kind of relating to the same one, and this guy says, I went into the demo with the intent of causing shitpost shenanigans about a pause, only to find out that even during the settings screen, the game does not actually pause. Now, he made a fine point. What if I have to take a piss? I should be able to pause the game. So I did incorporate pausing into the game, and as I started messing around with it, I realized that it wasn't going to change the game all that much by having pause in there. It's still a real-time pause kind of game. It didn't take away the element of how the action is done in the game. So there is pause in the game now. Hopefully it made these two guys happy. I don't really use it all that much, but it's there now for them. Now here's another comment from someone who actually was one of the first commenters who said my game looked like shit. And this is what he had to say. An interesting video, but only got 300 views and one pathetic comment. The hopelessness of indie RPGs is palpable. Now he's referring to, I think, one of my devlogs, which they're not exactly super popular. I don't have a huge following on YouTube. I'm trying to boost that sort of stuff, but it is really difficult. YouTube is a lot of the time it's clouded with like bigger developers who are claiming to be indies. So a lot of people don't realize what's going on. They're just being played. There's games out there that are being made by like massive teams, and they're claiming that they're indies. An indie game is really, like, I would say shouldn't be more than 4 people, but some people claim it can go higher than that, up to 10. A team of 10 is a big team. You can get a lot of shit done with 10 people. Anyways, that's just my opinion on indie games. Now, I have spotted lots of people who are faking it and posing, and they're just basically YouTubers. So, I'm up against that kind of stuff. I'm not going to beat them. I don't have the time or patience. My goal is to actually release a game that makes money. I think a lot of them are just trying to make money on YouTube. So, comparing myself to them, it is difficult. Now, he might also be referring to just the level of difficulty in RPGs. Yeah, like, look who I'm up against. I'm up against some really big fish. I'd stand no chance. But I don't need a lot to succeed. I do see people who buy lots of RPGs, so hopefully that's the case for me. Now, the next one is a video I wanted to show you of a YouTuber who actually did some gameplay on Journey for the Crown. Now, this one really sucks for me because he basically skips over every tutorial tip that I popped up. That they're really important because this gameplay isn't exactly mainstream kind of gameplay. With the combat bar the task bar and the combat, those are quite different types of things that you have to learn. So, I know it's difficult for me to expect people to read it, but I was just so set back by how much this guy skipped. He literally, it's like he went into this game trying to skip everything. And like you can see him rush right through all these. Like I even added voiceover just so that it would help. I don't know how to combat this sort of stuff. If someone's coming in that rushed into my game, I don't have a solution. Because on one side, I could have everything populate on the action bar for this guy, and he could just run up there and it starts hitting. But he'd have zero grasp of how the game works. And then on the other side, I make him populate the action bar properly, and then he gets an understanding of how the actions work and the abilities and how the game rolls. That's the outcome I want my player to learn. I want them to actually be educated and know how to play the game versus it just everything's laid out for you because you wouldn't understand the mechanics. Now, I suppose either path could be successful. I just chose this one. Originally, I had everything laid out for you. He would probably sailed right through it, but had zero understanding of what the hell's going on. So I'm choosing the path here that you have to populate your action bar. However, I did add a little button on the action bar when it is empty. It'll ask you, you can like push it and it'll open up the abilities page, and then you can drag and drop it. So I did add some features in there that if this guy were to revisit the game, I think he would figure it out. But I was so set back by how much this guy skipped. He goes so far into the settings page, yet there's so many things that were so much closer to what he needed to learn, but yeah, he just avoided them. Like the entire bottom right corner, he avoided the whole thing. It's just, it's. I think as a developer, it's crazy when you see people kind of go these routes on your game, because you're just, how, right? It just blows your mind. Now, I'm just an indie game developer. Like, to have these robust user interfaces that like guide you through it with all this stuff, it's a tremendous amount of work. And I think it is going to be one of my hardest problems is teaching some people who don't understand it. Now, my friend did say that he thinks this guy might be on some sort of like he might be challenged. I don't know how to say it in a delicate way, but he might be a little slower than most people. So I don't know, that's another thing too. I don't really have the capability of like really catering this to people with learning disabilities and that sort of stuff. So it's tough. I don't know how to really deal with that. Now, what really kind of sucks is it's an 8-minute video of basically him completely failing at playing this demo, and it's on the internet, and I don't know how to really handle that. So it's like, those are the things that we have to swallow as developers. Just people can come in here and just post something and completely ruin your game. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, I did put a video out myself that shows me playing the demo and kind of explaining it, and it is thankfully replacing this guy's video because there wasn't a whole lot of gameplay video yet, just because it's not that popular of a game yet. But hopefully, the path is better for me here than this 8-minute video that shows my game being in a terrible state. So now, with all that said, I do have big plans for the demo. What he's played here and what I've shown, it's going to get changed. I think I've got some story changes that are going to be different as well. So I'm going to have to revisit it at some point. But right now it's on my to-do list. And for now, I got things I got to work on first. So now, I didn't want to end on such a bad note. These negative comments are learning experiences. And, and inside some of the hate in the comments, there is information to be read. So looking at it in that sort of optics perspective, you can find things to improve your game with. It's really hard to not get demotivated and derailed with comments. I'm learning every day on how to get better at that. And when I revisit some of this stuff that's years old, it doesn't hurt me anymore. I look at it and I go, okay, I improved, I learned from this. So constructive criticism is it's never easy to hear it, but I mean, this is all it really is. The true hateful comments, those ones are always the toughest. And I think you just have to learn to read the comments properly and see if it has merit to it. Because there's going to be people out there that just want to hate on you because they're jealous, or they got some sort of different perspective of gaming. There's so many elements that are at play here. So when I look at all the different things that have happened in my game, I've got a lot of positive comments, and they clearly outweigh the negative ones by a long shot. So when I factor in that sort of positive thinking, it makes me happier. And, it motivates me to keep going. I hope that me reading over these comments didn't offend anybody. And I'm hoping that it was informative for you guys to see me react to it. Because, when you're all by yourself reading these comments, it really does mess you up. And I think talking to people about it is the recipe for fixing it. I speak to my wife and my friends all the time about it. And I just vent about it. And then you start to read between the lines what it really means, and you can discount the hate that's coming with it. Because on the internet, people are just as cruel as they can ever be because there's no repercussion. It's as simple as that. And, if you were to see them in a store, I'd probably punch their lights out. And, it'd be a different story. But no one would say that kind of stuff to your face unless they're, probably drunk or something like that, or out of their mind. But look at it this way. From my experience, I hope that this can be helpful for you guys. If you have comments that are in the same nature, just look at it. Don't get upset. Move on from it. Try and read between the lines and then figure out how you can add something in there to at least fix it, or Band-Aid fix it, whatever you can do, right? I think that's, as indie developers, I just wanted to share that with you guys, and then maybe, you can move on with your own projects, because in the end, we're not in this competition to destroy each other. I think a lot of people fall into that guise that, like, if I succeed, you can't succeed. Stop thinking like that. It's not like that. Indie games are sharing a humongous piece of pie. Nobody is really going to not play your game if mine does well. There's just such a huge market for us all to share. Stop having that mentality drive your hate. All right. So anyways, I really hope that you guys found this interesting. It's funny a bit too. I can laugh at some of this stuff now. I hope maybe you guys could too. And, if you get any hateful comments, let me know in the comments below what you guys had, and maybe we can digest a few more here in the comments section. Anyways, guys, cheers. I hope to see you in the next video.